News and reviews, man. We back with another one. It's your boy Rod the Water God.
And I'm Ja. We're here
Turn
to
it up.
address YNW Melly. We got to talk about the highlights from day 7 of the trial, which took place in Broward County, a place we're familiar with. And
Very familiar.
very familiar with. In fact, a lot of the places that they're bringing up where this alleged crime took place, I've been there. So
We done
this
stuck
place
a
hits
few
close
licks
to
over
home.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. The big highlight was a witness testifying, a Broward County detective that testified in a mask.
Yeah.
He said he had to testify in a mask because he had 50K on his head from people that are unrelated to this case. So that let people know what the temperature in Broward is right now. They
Right.
put 50K on that boy's head. It ain't even got nothing to do with Melly. And if anybody doesn't know who we're referring to YNW Melly, aka Jamel Demons or Demons or a demon named Jamel, whatever you want to call him. You know what I'm saying? Melvin. I goes by a lot of names, but
So they
this was
put
a big
50K on his head, you saying?
no, I'm saying somebody had 50K on the detective's head because he
Damn.
works undercover as a gang detective. So this he
Wow.
testified he testified in Nusan's courtroom earlier this month or sometime recently, and that was related to the XXX case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Usan was my judge too. So
Oh,
all of this
okay.
is stuff is really closely
Close to
related to
home.
me. That's what yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The detective was unmasked for an hour before he came into the courtroom though, and the defense was sure to bring that up.
That's weird.
Because the defense didn't want him to testify in a mask because they felt like that's violating Melly's right to confront his accuser. So they say, hey, all this mask stuff, we not feeling that. We need to, check his temperature, see his facial expressions, all of that to determine
Mm.
whether he's telling the truth or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point in the trial, one of the jurors had to stop because she felt triggered. She was like, I've been involved in a robbery before. I don't understand why he got a mask on and we ain't got no mask on. Like, I need to take a break. She wrote a letter to the
Straight up.
judge, and they went for an extended recess after that. How you feel about that?
Yeah, it's getting crazy. It's getting it
Do,
seems
do
like
you think it
the
was?
case is falling
Go ahead.
in YNW Melly's lap. Like it's getting more as it goes on. To me, it just seems like it's just more doubt. You know what I mean? It's more like they don't want to be involved in this case. It's just crazy, man. That's how I think about it so
What?
far.
I don't know if that means that the juror doesn't want to be involved in the case. As a matter of fact, after they came back from recess, the judge asked the juror, like, "Are you okay to go on? Is it cool?" And she
She
explained
said, "Yeah,
herself and was like, "Yeah, I'm good." But it just was, I just
yeah."
felt like it was improper. And
Yeah, the other judge probably had to get her mind right. Like, look, hold on, look, we ain't getting paid for this now. We here, know what I'm saying, getting
no,
them
well,
peanuts.
actually, they have three alternates. So if she has to get up out of there, they got somebody to replace her. But
Okay,
if
that's
you
dope.
drop below the three, is grounds for a mistrial. So you really don't want to be swapping people out unless you got to.
Right. I
You
mean,
know,
I'm thinking how the jurors is. They want to go home. They want to get to that money. They don't want to be there. You know what I mean? For real. I had to tell a juror. They sent me paperwork. I'm like, man, look, I had done been convicted of a felon 7, 8 years ago. Y'all don't want me up there. So I'm saying that people don't want to do this. They
yeah.
don't. It's no compensation for them wanting to do this. So I just feel like it may be in YNW Melly's maybe in his best interest, man, to have him frustrated up there. What you
I
think?
I don't know if that benefited him at all. I think
Right.
his defense did a good job by raising the question of is his rights being violated? Are the is the jury being wronged or prejudiced by not being able to see his face? I thought that was a good thing to bring up, but it seemed like the prosecution was ready for that because they were like, well, what does it really mean to face your accuser? And this guy does have credible threats on his life, and he fears for the safety of his family. So you know, you got to take care of the people that's trying to do a duty to the court. You can't just have them out there any old kind of
Butt
way.
naked.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So this man really be in the trenches. So I saw both sides of it, but ultimately the judge allowed for Detective Polo, Danny Polo, to testify with the mask on. And as I watched the trial live, they positioned the camera so it was pointed at his chest. So you really couldn't even see him with the mask on during his testimony.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
that's strange.
something else that I thought was interesting. We watched that interview with YNW Juvie's father where he
Yeah.
gave a possible motive. Remember, the prosecution doesn't have to prove a motive to convict Melly, but his father described a possible motive when he talked about an incident that he heard of where Sack Chaser had got into a fight with YNW Melly, and Sack Chaser knocked out Melly's gold teeth in front of his girlfriend. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody doesn't know, YNW Sack Chaser is one of the alleged victims, and YNW Juvie is another one of the two alleged victims. So that fight ended up coming up again because they were looking at phone messages between YNW Melly and his mother. Seems like there could be some truth to that theory.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Damn.
the prosecution is building a case here, and the defense didn't want the phone records to even be used because they were like, how could we be sure that this is YNW Melly's phone? Like other people were using the phone. But the prosecution did a good job in saying that, look, we got selfies, we got screenshots from FaceTimes. He has credit cards in here, and it's hard for us to believe that YNW Melly, you know, has somebody else using the phone sending out pictures of his penis. You know what I'm saying? So obviously this guy was using the phone a lot. And
Damn.
the judge was like,
Damn,
yeah,
Wyatt.
they've, you know, I feel like this is evidence that he used the phone a lot, and we're gonna go with this, that this is his phone. And she was proving that it was his phone
Damn.
because he's having conversations with his mother talking about Sack Chaser. The defense is like, yo, this could be Sack Chaser using the phone, but the prosecution is like, well, if this is Sack Chaser's phone, why is Melly talking with his mother about Sack Chaser? You know? And
Mm.
I thought it was actually really gangster that one of the conversations that they pulled up, YNW Melly was asking his mama to buy him a Glock. And she like, what's wrong with the 45s? And he like, yo, I want a legal gun right now. And when he told his mama to go get the Glock, he was like ASAP right now, like leave now, type shit.
Dang.
That's I
That hurt. That hurt right
that's
there.
it. To me, it's just painting the picture that, I mean, look, we just niggas on YouTube. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not on the jury. They wouldn't even been able to pick me for this jury. I'm too prejudiced. I know too much about.
Right.
I was following this before the thing, but
Yeah.
I don't think his defense saw that and felt like it's helping our narrative.
Situation. Yeah.
Yes, it kind of painted the picture that this is a guy that doesn't mind picking up a gun to solve
Mm-hmm.
disputes, or he felt like he
Anything
needed a
he
gun.
got. Yeah.
But you know, he is an entertainer as well. Uh, he did ask for the guns around the time he was talking about Sack Chaser, but perhaps he had other problems. You know, he told his mom that he wasn't scared or something to that effect. So the defense has room to kind of muddy the waters there, but the judge believes that the convos are sufficient evidence that it's Melly's phone. So that was a loss for the defense. What do you think about this
Mm.
case not having like another win for the defense? To be fair, they weren't able to have DNA evidence of YNW Melly in the car. And remember, we don't have a gun in YNW Melly's hand. Uh, how do you feel about the case
Mm.
lacking for the prosecution that physical evidence? Like, even though we have circumstances, we don't have a gun in Melly's hand. We don't have video surveillance of him doing anything. They're relying on phone records, triangulating his location. Do you think if you was in the jury, that would be enough for you to render a guilty verdict?
No, I mean that's why it
Mm.
ain't good for me to be in this because I got too much. I know too much about men getting out, getting released after a long term of in jail with no evidence. So for me, I feel like public opinion, I think they can twist this to where the public opinion people will feel like, yeah, man, how they painting the picture, I can go. It just seems like he did it without the evidence, but it will be hard for me to just, do it without proper, you know, making sure he was there. It was, he shot, we got the gun. You know what I mean? It's just hard for me to drop it like
Well,
that. But
well,
go ahead.
you don't need physical evidence of everything.
Right.
Circumstantial evidence is
It's
a
good.
type of evidence. And I just want to remind everybody, the defense is leaning on that heavy, but somebody can be convicted purely on circumstantial evidence. That is a
Oh, it
fact.
happened before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's happened.
It's
So,
people been convicted on public opinion. Just the
well,
public opinion
well,
felt
I
like
think
you did
public
it.
opinion does play a role, even if we don't want it to. But the case really comes down to the judge and those jurors. And if
Yeah.
you look at polls out there, most people feel like he's going to be felt not guilty. I saw the same thing with the Tory trial. Me personally, I think I think he's cooked. I think he's toast.
I
And
don't know.
that's
For some
not.
reason, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think that, like you saying, I think that the doubt,
Mm.
and how they're painting it, I just think it's doubt there. So,
It's still too early to tell, really. I
tell,
mean, they're
yeah.
not done building their case, but so far with the circumstances and that story that's just not jiving with the facts, I just don't think I don't think there's another reasonable explanation here. Like, if there's a mystery man that could have done this, what? He was moving around the phones and nobody has knowledge of who this guy is? It just doesn't seem like it makes sense to me. And I kind of put myself in the situation if I was the alleged assailant,
Hmm.
what moves I would be making to cover my tracks and how I would react if this happened among my homeboys. Like, I just can't stand by that, though. I think justice needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? If he's innocent, he needs to be out of there quick. But uh if there's beyond the shadow of a doubt that he could have did this, we don't need people like this on the streets, man. I keep on pointing that out, man. There's a lot of people quick to say, like, but come on, man. He's accused of. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'm going too far with this, but I
Yeah,
think I
because
think there's substantial evidence. Let's leave it on that. Let's leave it at that. With
right.
with with the, I'm always gonna let my beliefs go to where the weight of the evidence lies. Now, when it comes to what evidence would change my mind, if the defense did a good enough job of convincing me that those phone uh, towers were unreliable, I might have been moved. They tried to prove that the phone could have been used by other people. I thought the prosecution's case on that was more compelling. Now, he doesn't have DNA evidence in the car, but I know enough about people getting sentences overturned for lack of DNA evidence and all of that too. I take all of that into the account to say that
Yeah.
things are not the way that we think there are. Like, everything's just showered with DNA evidence. You could really move around and do something and get out of there with no DNA evidence. Like, that's completely possible. So I don't
Mm.
necessarily need his DNA evidence to be in there. What I'm finding a hard time wrapping my brain around is why the route of the cars changed, why the cars separated, and why his story don't go with that, why we didn't find evidence of a shooting where they said the evidence happened, and why was there gunshot wounds in people after they've already died. So like that, those are the things that I can't understand, and I don't have a better explanation other than it being this guy. I don't think it's reasonable to suspect at this point that it was a mystery man that did all of this. The only other explanation that
Right.
kind of makes sense is YNW Bortland. let me ask you this before we go. Do you think that YNW Bortland, the driver, is going to testify in this case? Because his trial comes after this. And if Melly
Oh,
beats
it's
it, you got to.
somebody else that got charged with these murders
They
too.
well, the other guy that was in the car driving, YNW Bortland. That's the guy
Right.
who hasn't testified yet. Do you think he will testify against Melly? Do you think that?
Is he charged? Is he charged as well?
Yeah, he charged, but his
He's
case is separate from this one, so they're gonna try him after this.
wow. See, now it is, yeah, that makes it more interesting because it's another person that's being tried. You get me?
Yeah, and it's
So
separate from
now,
this.
and
So
it's separate from this.
but you gotta think, why would they even separate their cases? Either
I
it makes
think
me feel. Let me ask you that. Just answer straight up. Do you, now that knowing all of
I
this, do you
think that
think
they
that
feel like
YNW
both of
Portland will
them.
take the stand?
Well, you said they can't be.
No,
They're
he can be
separate
called as a witness though. The
from the
case is
defense.
separate though. We're
Got you. Got
trying
you.
Melly in this case. There's gonna come a day where we have to try YNW Portland. It could be both
That,
of them. It could be one or the other. Do you think
yeah,
Portland will
because
take the stand? I'm asking.
if you don't have no evidence on, like, you got two people for the murder, yeah, I don't think he'll take the stand because it don't seem like it's enough evidence on even YNW Melly, and it's probably not enough, evidence on him if they don't got DNA and they don't got a weapon,
I don't see how he avoids taking the stand. They know where
Right.
he's at. He's out on bond, and one of them is going to need him, either the defense or
Or the
the
prosecution.
prosecution.
Yeah,
I
I get
think,
what
you
you're
know what I'm
saying.
saying? But it could be a situation where the prosecution is like, we can't trust him, or the defense is like, man, it's better this nigga not say anything. He might put his foot in his mouth. I personally think he's going to be called. I heard Bruce Rivers saying that he thinks he's going to be called, and I kind of agree with him. Like, I think they're going to call him to the stand, and it might put Bortland in a situation where he has to tell. We know people will tell, and I know that'll surprise everybody else, but I'm not surprised at this point by people telling it, and that's real pressure. That's a double homicide. So he's going to either stand tall or he's going to fold, and I don't know if he's going to stand tall. I'm not that
I would
confident.
like to see the evidence that they have on him, like for
We're
them to
seeing
charge.
it though. They can use this same evidence against Bortland. You realize that, right?
Right. So
Because
it's
they're like
like,
somebody in the car shot, but it's better for him, I think, because they're like, yo, the shots came from the back seat. We saw he was in the back seat. This guy said he was driving. It all fits to Melly to me, but it could also fit that maybe they switch spots. Maybe they, if they did orchestrate this.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you think that YNW Bortland is going to stay solid?
He might, because he's being charged, and if you tell on him, right? If you saying he did it, it may still put you. You get what I'm saying?
That's what I'm trying
What
to
y'all
say.
trying
Like,
to do? Y'all want to beat the case, or you trying to bam him and get off? Like,
but this is the thing: the defense might put it on him, and he might be in a position where I have to defend my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, the defense might be, when that part of the trial comes up, we don't know what's going to happen, but the defense might be like, look, if we could create enough doubt and make people feel like it could have been either one of them, it might be enough doubt to get this guy off. Yeah. And Melly might not be like, no, y'all can't do that. He might, or they might keep it solid. I don't know. But y'all let us know what y'all think. Y'all chime in on the comments, man. What have we? Yeah, we leave it at that. True.
We'll leave it at that. Sure.